Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Jason. I'm your watch guy today. Before we start this review, or before I introduce this review to you, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I think I may actually be verging on 3,000 by the time this goes out, or I'll be over it. So in advance, thank you so much. 3,000 is a ridiculous amount of subscribers for less than a year on YouTube. Well, the 21st of March will be a year on YouTube. So yeah, you're amazing. As I say every time that we hit a milestone, you're just amazing. Thank you. So today I have got something completely different for you. Something that you will have only seen if you've seen this watch review before. Otherwise you will not have seen something like this before. It's out of this world, which is very suiting for the watch and its design because it's very space and galaxy type of orientated. Now, this watch is called the Kaal Multiverse and it is available on their website now. I will link them in the description. They were very kind to send this over. I actually tried to get hold of this when they first started designing them, but I don't think they had any time to fit me in. So they've looped back around and they've caught me this time, which I'm very grateful for. I'm made up that I've got this one in it. It's absolutely fantastic. So without further ado, let me turn this camera around and let's get into this review. We're always saying that we want to see a bit more originality in the watch world. Well, you don't get any more original than this, do you? This is the Kaal Multiverse Gaia. They do these in 3 different dial options. When I say dial options, I mean the center here. This is the Gaia, which represents the Earth. They also do the Sol dial, which is the sun, and the Artemis, which is the moon. They're all really, really good looking dials. However, I think of all of them, this one's the nicest. Look at the detail in the globe that's sat in the center of that dial there. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, when these first started showing up on my timeline on Facebook, the designs of them, I thought that this is insane. I need to get one in to review. I've waited quite a while to get my hands on one, but I'm glad that I finally did. One of the co-founders of Kaal Watches is a gent called Alvin. Now, he's actually a watch reviewer also, so you'd like to think that he knows a little bit about what we want. And we complain about not seeing original designs. Well, yeah, this is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now, it is packed with an NH35 movement, which you wouldn't know it looking at the dial, but it's pretty standard Seiko NH35 movement. Let's talk about the dimensions on this one because there's going to be some talking points about it. In diameter, it is 42 millimeters here to here. Lug to lug, it is 47 millimeters, which is very wearable, very comfortable on wrist. In fact, the lugs are 22 millimeters, so you can definitely get a lot of different strap options for this one. It does come on a really nice band though. It's a really comfortable band in that. Now, the talking point of the dimensions here is obviously how thick this watch is. Now, including this double domed sapphire crystal, it is a whopping 19.5 millimeters thick. It does stand off wrist and it gets a lot of attention actually because of how big it is. Obviously, wearing something this size on your wrist, people are going to catch the eye with it. I think that's a good thing personally. Obviously, it's not going to be a dress watch. This is definitely a statement piece. It's not an everyday wear. It's not an everyday watch. It is something that you bring out on occasion. I believe that's my personal opinion on that. Now, it's built in 316L stainless steel with a brushed finish around the casing. It does feel like a good quality casing. We have a very large bezel here that is obviously stationary, but it sits very far off the actual casing itself and gives a bit of presence to wrist. Now, these aren't drilled lugs, but they do have nice little star screw type of designs in the center. As we flip to the back of this watch, it is a screwed down case back. We have 4 screws on each corner of this watch. It is a sandblasted effect in the center of it with Kaal Watch at the top here, Multiverse Edition. And as you can see there, there is a nice little looking glass for the NH35 movement to peek through. I think that's a nice part of the design. It's different, and I think this case back is very well designed. Also, it's a nice feature of the watch itself. This is not a screw down crown, but it does have a really nice nailing effect to it with a black band in the center, indented into the center. Obviously this is a hacking and hand winding movement, and you can hand wind it from the first position. We have the Kaal logo stamped in the center of the crown. So as we move into the dial of this watch, it's not exactly the easiest one to talk about, to be honest with you. Obviously we have this fantastically designed earth sculpture in the center of the dial, which is suspended by this bridge that runs straight across the center of the watch. That is a brushed stainless steel effect, a central screw holding that on in the center of the dial. Now this suspended effect is really, really nice. It's almost like a sculpture inside of a watch. Well, it kind of is, isn't it? It's a sculpture inside of a watch. We have a very thick, very deep casing, almost a chasm type of effect to it. We have a very large upstanding chapter ring around the center with a triangle at the 12 o'clock. Now we have numerals at the 5-minute indices with minute point markers between them. That is in a black print on a white surface on that chapter ring, so it stands out very well. In the center we have this really, really lovely dial that has a sort of star-like effect to it. I believe it's probably a glitter effect, but it does finish this effect, this space type of theme, this the galactic type of theme. The dial obviously has the numerals on it. Now, it's not the easiest way to tell the time, and that's why I say it's not an everyday wear. It's not a simple wear to the piece. I'll show you how to tell the time. So this star here is actually the minute hand. So if we stop there, that would be 10:02, and the triangle at the top, as you can see, this dial in the center moves, a circular see-through disc with the numerals printed on it. So that would be 10:06 on that one. Let's flip it to another one. That would be 7:15. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but once you're used to it, it's fine. It's just your brain adapted to it then at that point. The actual numerals themselves and the ones printed around the chapter ring are a very different type of font, a very original style of font. It's definitely a space themed type of font, something that you'd see on Battlestar, something that you'd see on Star Trek. It's a very original font, and it does have the type of flair to carry off this design. As you can see here, this orbiting feature is the second hand ticking away. Now, one other feature of this watch is the Lume Chart. So let me turn off the lights and let me show you what we've got here. So as you can see, it has a really nice Lume Chart actually. It's almost like looking at the dark side of the Earth, isn't it? So we have the ring around the center, the chapter ring itself actually loomed, so you can see the numerals on that. As well as that, we have the minute marker and second marker also loomed, and the numerals that tick away on the inside of the dial are loomed too. I think that's a nice feature. I think the Lume Chart's very, very different. I absolutely adore that. And another little feature is that the crown, where the Kaal logo is actually also loomed. That's nice, isn't it? You see that on Zalus's, and I like it on them too. So one change that was made in production is that you see the minute hand here is actually like a faint type of pale yellow. Well, that's been changed to a red, so it's more visible. So it's easier to tell the time on this and easier to spot that minute hand, which I think is a good change from them. As we move on to the strap that is supplied with this watch, as you can see, it's quite a malleable strap. We have quick release bars on there for an easy change out. We have a brushed and polished buckle on this band. Two safeties, one that's in place and one that moves. We have a really nice stitching, grey stitching around the band here and down the centre of this one. It's a quality band, it is. It feels nice on wrist. Speaking of which, let me show you this on wrist before we move on to our Moat section. So here we have it on wrist. As you can see, it is actually quite wearable. It has that sort of Seiko diver effect. You know, you think that it's going to be really hard to wear, it's going to be massive, but due to the shorter lug to lug, it is very wearable. And that band is actually really comfortable also. So yeah, I've been a fan of wearing this for the last week or so. I think it's definitely drawn some attention. People like it. My nan actually thinks that this is the best watch she's ever seen, which is actually quite funny because I've shown her so many watches now, from Pagani's to Breitland's. She picked this one out of the entire bunch. She said this is the favourite up to now. So it has the Madge's seal of approval, and that goes for a lot. Now, moving into the Moat section, there's one thing that I haven't mentioned, and you may have noticed, you may not have, and you may be waiting for it. Now, I didn't mention it because I didn't want anyone to turn off, but the price of this watch is a little bit expensive. Now, it is a feature piece, so they do get away with that a little bit. I think if you want one of these in the collection, you will pay it. So bear that in mind. If you want it enough, you'll pay this price. It's out on pre-order for $699. It is an expensive watch for an NH35 movement watch, an NH35 powered watch, but it is built well, and it's completely different to anything that you'll see on the market. And I think that's why it's priced like that. Obviously, a lot of money will go into the design of this watch and the quality of the pieces that they put together around that movement, including this absolutely fantastic dome sapphire. But $699 is something that a lot of people will have to think about before they just throw the money at it. Aside from that, another worry that I have is how scratch resistant this crystal is. Obviously, sapphire is much more scratch resistant, but if you're wearing this more day to day, if you're wearing this on more occasions than most, then I wonder if this is going to get dinked or scratched walking along surfaces. And thirdly and finally, the size of it, it's not going to be for everyone, but I think it's absolutely amazing how they've designed it. My personal opinion is that it's absolutely beautiful, and I think Alvin and Kaal have definitely brought something completely different to the market, and that's what I love to see. This Microbrand have stepped out and done something that no one else has, and really, this is more towards an art piece than it is a wristwatch. I understand the aspect of telling the time is a wristwatch, but the design that's gone into that globe and the design around it, I just think it's stepping towards art, in my opinion. So the Kaal Multiverse, just absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, look at that bloody, look at that, that's fantastic. They've done something very special with it. The price will be the sticking point for a lot of people. I think that will be the discussion in the comments today. $699 brings it into a lot of competition. There's a lot of big players around that market at the moment. You could pick up a Swiss movement watch or a Swiss watch for that type of price. Entry-level Swiss watches at that, but again, you know, it's big competition. It's Virgin there, and a lot of people will point that out, but I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and it's just original as hell. It's something, as I say, it's working towards being a piece of art, and I really do appreciate that in a watch, because it steps out on the market and it doesn't care about conforming to what we think a watch should be. It stands out on its own, and I think that is a brilliant characteristic myself. Thank you for watching this, guys. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.